Any country that is described by using the words chocolate, beer, and waffles all in one sentence is good on my list. Belgium is that kind of country. Belgium might be small in size, but it packs a punch when it comes to its food and culture. Brussels, the capital of Belgium and home to NATO and the European Union, has some of the most delicious waffles I've ever tasted. Oh yes, I went straight to the sugar. There are two types of waffles. You have the Brussels waffle, that is like a puff pastry, rectangular and larger. The other waffle is called Liège waffle. This waffle is smaller, thicker, and more filling. Of course, I bought both and enjoyed them both, but I prefer the Liège waffle. One more thing about waffles, you can tell who's a tourist and who's not just by looking at how they order their waffle. The waffles that have a mountain of whipped cream, fruit, and a bunch of other crap, that's the tourist one. The locals eat the plain waffles with a little bit of white sugar if they want to. Then I paid €1. Say what?
I have sugar inside. Oh yeah.
Next to the waffle shop is the famous boy taking a leak. He's called Mannequin Piss. He's the national symbol of Belgium, and I discovered there's a person who's in charge of actually changing his clothes. See, I wasn't lying. It's also said that Belgium produces one of the best chocolate around, and they were right. Belgium chocolate is the bomb. I went to visit the chocolate museum in Brussels.
Every continent has cocoa, but only growing in the tropical area. So you need to open this fruit within the 2 hours after it's cutting off the tree. Otherwise the beans inside go acid, you no longer can make chocolate with it. When the chocolate is ready, I do the test by bringing chocolate to the lip. If it's colder than the lip, then I know it's good. If I burn my lip, I have to go to the pharmacy. Il faut un conteneur plus petit. This one goes for 2 hours in the fridge. 2 hours later.
Allez, merci, vous soignez dans, hein?
Dus hij moet bien.
Merci.
Thank you for the visit and spend a wonderful time in Brussels.
The rest of the museum contains history of chocolate and some cool artwork. Everywhere you go in Belgium, you'll see a chocolate store. I mean everywhere, like in every corner. There was chocolate here, a chocolate there, Godiva here, Niehaus there, like all different kinds of shops. But let me tell you, they were all good. And of course, I devoured every chocolate I saw. Belgian beer. What can I say about Belgian beer that hasn't already been said? It's true. Beer is like a religion here. From sour beers like Lambic to beers made by Trappist monks. It's the best beer I've ever had. Brussels has a lot of cool bars. I went to the Delirium Cafe that claims to have over 2,000 beers, and according to the Guinness World Records, it's true. And of course, I went. I drank a lot of them. In Brussels as well, I went to a brewery called the Cantillon Brewery, which specializes in Lambic beers and goose. These types of beers are really sour, and it's because it's spontaneous fermentation. Only this kind of fermentation occurs in Brussels. Once I was done sightseeing in Antwerp, I jumped on the bus and rode for about an hour to head on over to Westmalle Brewery. I am walking towards the Westmalle Trappist Brewery. It's right in front of me. Let me turn around. I don't know if you can see, but it's like right there. Behind those trees, those red brick building, that's the Westmalle
brewery.
I'm making a pilgrimage to the other great beers in Belgium. They have a great history of beers. And so this is the first Trappist brewery that I am going. My goal is to see all the 6 Trappist breweries in Belgium, but we'll see, because they're all spread out like all over. So it makes it a little difficult if you don't have a car, but we'll see. The brewery doesn't allow visitors, but right in front of the brewery is a cafe where I drank my Westmalle Double. Man, was it good. Let me tell you, that was the best beer I think I've ever had. After having a good conversation with the owner, he gave me a bottle of the beer that only the monks drink in the brewery. It's called Extra. Nowhere in the world can you buy this beer, and I have one. If you're watching, Johan, thank you. And finally, you have Bruges, the whole city's museum. Oh my god, I fell in love with this place. I forgot to film a lot of it because I was mesmerized by everything I saw. The architecture, the people, the bars, everything. The city has this fairy tale vibe. It's just amazing. Visited the De Halfman brewery and had an awesome tour. This is the only brewery that makes its beer in the city. All the other breweries make their beer outside the city.
How do you want your beer to look and taste? So if you'd like a blonde beer, you barely toast it at all for a nice pale ale. Or if you want a very, very dark beer, you roast it to a very, very dark degree. You can even burn it if you want a really bitter taste in your beer. So, however much you do that, that is totally up to you. But now that you've soaked and roasted, your beer's going to taste just a little bit nicer. And this is also the ingredient that's going to control alcohol content. The more you use, the stronger your beer's going to be. It comes from how much sugar you use, because the sugar is what ferments into alcohol. So the more sugar you have, the more alcohol you're going to have. Yeah? Spread all the grain out on this grill, and the fire was the ground level.
And what we saw in those vessels, they're going to do multiple batches in those vessels of all the same beer.
Always going to be another guy out here, like a little guard, to make sure that all the still workers.
Bruges, absolutely fantastic city. Belgium was everything that I wanted. Relaxation, art, food, and culture. This was a wonderful experience, and I hope you come here as well.